Good morning everyone, another new day at the koi pond. Since the last video I've been to Japan with koi trips and Tim Waddington, and this week we had Joe come down from the koi perspective. He's done a video and a write-up in his magazine, so yeah, had a few visits away and a few visits here. Fish are all looking good. They're currently at 8.5 degrees. They'd probably hand feed if they really wanted to. The air bar's going back again over there. That's one of the purchases from Japan. Got that from the little hobby shop, aquatic shop in Aegea, and it's one of the sinking air bars they do there. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant little air bar. I've got that running split off on my Fujimac, and it's literally just bleeding off from the nexus. I haven't had to turn that down or anything. That could just literally be a T, and it would split off lovely. Yeah, it just creates that little bit more flow in the pond, just to stop any dead spots more than anything, and keep everything moving nicely. The Crashy wants some food. Them three, the Crashy, the Achiever and that little Ginrin shag, they're going to be big fish, I think. All they want to do is eat. So since the last time, the outside the pond's had a bit of a lick of paint. I've actually replaced the stones that was here and put a piece of wood there, and finished off the corners just to tidy it up. It was never really finished, the outside the pond was. So that's just black Sandex. Yeah, it's brilliant, to be fair. It's worked really well. Quite impressed with it. It's covered well as well. Looks quite smart. Just looking from this direction, it just looks all really smart now, to be fair. Had a bit of a move around with the old the plants and the bamboo. It's nearly touching up the window upstairs. It's gone nuts, that is. Fair play, that bamboo. I had it from my a dear friend of mine, actually, who's no longer with us, Kevin Scurry, who used to live in Shrewsbury. He gave it me. It's a black bamboo plant, and I had it when it was just literally 6 inches tall, and yeah, I just stuck it in that pot and it went absolutely flipping nuts. So yeah, it's almost as high as our bedroom window now. We've also got something different down the end of the pond here, so I wonder what that could be for. So the same day Joe come down from the koi perspective, we had a delivery. We had a box full of fittings, and a Remora i9 air source heat pump. And yeah, it's Saturday now. Let's get it fitted onto the pond. I've got a bit of pipe work to mess around with, a few changes to make. Yeah, let's get it on. Let's get some heat going on these boys this year. There we have the heat pump in place. My hoping is you've got an inlet on the bottom and outlet on the top. I'm hoping we can pipe it so it just runs down the back of the filter shed there. Trying to get away with the least amount of bends possible. I think I'm on about plan Z of how to plumb this thing in. I've come up with one idea and then had a thought one night, and I thought no, we'll change that. So yeah, I think we've about got it now, what we want to do. I think the way that we're going to plumb it in now will mean that actually the space inside the filter shed will be a bit better as well. So my original idea was to turn the pump around from the pond and bring the pipe work round there underneath the waste valves for the nexus, behind the bottom drain and the rock work, and out through the wall there. Then obviously through the heat pump, put the bypass outside as well, and yeah, and then basically back in through the wall about there, and then feed down some 45s and come back and then straight up into the UV and then keep this all the same. The only problem is that I can't fit 2 pipes behind this section here. I've only got a very small gap down there, but I want to try and utilise it because I want to try and keep all the pipe work out the way. So my next idea was that I could only fit 1 pipe down there with the insulation I want to put on as well. Actually, that's the point. The insulation is one of the things that means I can't fit the 2 pipes down there. So plan A was pipe out and pipe back there. Plan B was pipe out of the pump behind there, up through there, and then through the pump, then back into the shed here. 45, 45 under the step, 90, and then a 45, and then a 45 up into the UV and then back into the pond. That was the plan until last night. I had a good idea of going, well, why don't I just move the UV? Because when I'm stood at the pond here and I look at the pond like that, my main standing space and viewing of the pond, yeah, that window opens in the summer and you can sit on the bench and everything, but 9 times out of 10 I'm stood at the pond looking this way. I thought, well, let me gain a bit more space here. So what I'm planning on doing is actually moving the UV from there up to there and leave the pump where it is. As you can see, the pump is down there, and it's got a 45 and then another 45 and it's straight up into the UV. So what I'm planning on doing is put the UV pretty much where that row of plug sockets is there. So then it will come straight out the pump, straight up here, move that controller, straight up into the UV, through the UV, round the wall, and out there, and then down, because I've got to get to the bottom port on the air source heat pump. So then it will come out the wall, down, like that, into the bottom port of the air source heat pump, through the air source heat pump, back out the top port, and then I'm going to have to come across and then probably 45 and then through this wall here, return through that wall there, 45, 45, run it down through here and then bring it straight up into this return here. I think it'll be a bit better that way. It'll get rid of all that. It'll make the run to the from the outlet of the air source heat pump smaller, well, the pipework's all going to be insulated anyway, so I just want to try and make it as less pipework, as less bends as possible, and to try and keep the area that I have here free to just stand and enjoy my fish, because that's one of the main things with the pond the way that it is like you say, 9 times out of 10 I stand in the filter house and look at the fish. This jump guard comes out, so it's like standing at the side of a normal pond once you stand here. And I want to try and possibly gain a little bit more space here. You'll still have that return pipework there, but at least then you'll be able to stand here where the UV is at the minute, instead of just being having the one space. And maybe you can fit like a couple of people in here, because it's a nice little filter room this, but it's a little bit on the cramped side. That's the only problem. This is the insulation I'm going to be using on the pipework on the pond. I just got it off the internet. It's 13mm wall pipe lagging, internal diameter for the pipework. I've got 2 lots. The internal measurement inside of the insulation is 60mm on this one, and then I've got a couple of lengths of 72mm to be able to go round fittings and that, to make it a bit easier, so that I can just make it really nice and insulated, so I can get the efficiency of that air source heat pump and what it produces straight into the pond and get this temperature up on this pond. I'm hoping to hopefully get it up near 12 degrees for as soon as I can really, and hold it at that until the temps are running. It's a gorgeous day actually today. The sun's out lovely, and it actually proves the point with the pond the way that it is. I mean, my pond's been at 7 degrees till when Joe come on Thursday, and then we literally had a bit of sunshine yesterday and a bit of sunshine today, and she's up at 8.4 already. As soon as you get the sun coming onto this polycarb roof, the temperature will just come straight up. Like it works flipping brilliant. So we've managed to get a bit done this afternoon. A bit of a messing around with some angles and some 45s. I've got the bypass sorted. So on these Remora heat pumps, the inlet will be the bottom pipe and the outlet is the top pipe. And the one thing I really wanted to try and do was, because the pipe work had to come round the back there, to try and keep the gap for the evaporator clear as much as I could. So they're on 45s that crank it down below that block there, and then 90 into it, just to try and keep it out of the way best I can. And then the same on the top, but not to come any higher than the lid of the air pump. So that's on a 90 and then a crank 45 up there as well, straight up there into the bypass. I was going to go down moving the UV route, moving the UV and moving them electrical sockets, but I don't think it's going to help me. So I think the UV is going to have to probably stay where it is. I might actually, thinking about it, what I might do is lower it down and get rid of that joint and this piece of pipe, so the UV is the same height as that of that 90 there. Just takes a joint out, and it will just lower the pipe work down a little bit, and probably just get it out of the way a little bit. To change a bulb in there, I might just take it off of the rubber Jubilees anyway, so I haven't got to worry about the space to get the tube out or anything, because I just pop it off and just poke it out the door and slide it out the door is the easiest thing. So yeah, I think what I'm going to have to do is go back to plan A, where we turn the pump round, instead of it being like that, like this. So the pump's going to be like that way, and then turn the pump on its side and have the pipe coming out, down, under here, out there, which then joins up with the bottom pipe for the air source heat pump. And then I think the return is going to come back in just below there, and then down under the door. Oh, it's convenient, 90, I've left that there actually. There, and then up and into the UV. I think it's the only way I'm going to do it nice and neat. So yeah, the other thing I didn't mention before actually, this is a socket that's fused on its own. I run that blue electrical wire in the other day and put it in on a separate trip in the shed, so that if the air source heat pump trips, it doesn't trip any of them sockets off over there. So that means the pond will keep running. Look at these things, Jesus Christ, 8.5 degrees and all they want is food. Good evening. So the last bit of the video that you would have just seen was Saturday afternoon. Unfortunately I had to finish a bit early because I had to go out for a family meal, and then all plans were to get everything put in, get the heat pump in, get all the pipe work done Sunday and film a load of it and do it all good for you. But the weather was atrocious, and gluing solvent well fittings in the rain was not a lot of fun, but we did it. We've got it, the heat pump's working, it's on, and yeah, they're currently sat at 12 degrees. They come up from, well, they come up naturally on their own over the tail end of last week, from about Thursday up to Saturday, it came from 7 to about 9 on its own, and then last night when I got the heat pump working about 6 o'clock on Sunday evening, I got the heat pump working, got all the plumbing done and everything. I then set it for 10 degrees, which it come up within 2 hours, from not about just under 9 to 10 degrees. I was just quite pleased. I was like, that's quite quick. And then this morning before I went to work, I just thought, sod it, smack it on 12 and let's go for it. So yeah, I think when I woke up this morning about 6 o'clock, I then set it on 12, and I checked the app, and I think it was at 12 by about 11. So yeah, it's done a real good job, to be fair. Right, I'll run you through it. So you have to excuse the head torch and everything, but last time you saw it was basically this part here. Got the bypass done. Got the pipe work into the shed. That's obviously the return to the pond. The bottom pipe being the feed, which goes 90 degrees into the shed there. Obviously I had to make holes in the shed, but then I'd had to foam them up quickly. Obviously with the otter issue, I couldn't leave any holes anywhere, just in case you could get in anywhere. So they had to be foamed up last night real quick. So yeah, they look a bit scruffy at the minute, but I'll tidy it all up. So yeah, going into the filter house, I'll show you the pipe work that we managed to do in the end. The plan changed numerous times while we were doing this pipe work. So the pump that was horizontal is now vertical now. It comes straight out of there, 45, 45, round the back of the bottom drain, 45, and a 45 out. I wanted to try and keep as many 45 joints in there as I could. So I try and cut down on the 90s degree angles to try and keep the flow rate good, and just to stop any sort of dead angles. Like again, I've got to tidy that foam up. That was balls up. I was going to put the pipe in that corner, keep it nice out of the way, and then I went through the wall there and found a noggin that I put in to try it, like from the upright of to the internals of the shed, a triangle piece that goes in the corner. So I wasn't going to go through that. Then that's the return. Again, all that foam work needs to be tidied up. One thing we did do that the old man said was a good idea, because he came over on Sunday and gave me a hand, is run the electrical wires in a bit of hose pipe, because we weren't quite sure whether the wires and the foam might go a bit funny. So the black lead is the power, and that's on a Tapu energy metering plug, and the white wires are the Wi-Fi box. One thing we did find, actually, I hadn't got that plugged in when we first fired up the air source heat pump, and nothing would work. So I had a bit of a oh shit moment, a bit of a scramble, and then I realised that, well, that was still in the kitchen, so we plugged that Wi-Fi box in, and then everything seemed to wake up then. So yeah, if you have a Remora heat pump, you've got to have that plugged in, otherwise nothing will work. So then that's come in. This is the return, 45 there, 45 under the door. That's the pipe lagging that's going to go on everything eventually. That's the next job. 45, and then another 45, and then the UV. I know I was going to try and get rid of it from that space, but putting it there meant the shortest run of pipe work possible. So we're then coming off the floor, through the UV, down and back into the pond. It's less pipe work. It is a little bit in the way, but it's the best of the retrofit that I had to do. And yeah, these all seem very happy. Look at the like a shark coming across the water, that thing is. Look at it. Yeah, they're all keen for the food. See if I can just get you in there. So yeah, thank you very much for watching, and if you've got any questions, just drop it down in the comments, and I'll give it a go to try and answer them. So yeah, these are sat at, like you say, 12 degrees now, and seem to be doing fine. They seem to be loving the food. I just got to have to go steady on the feed a bit now. They're just on a bit of wheat germ, and then I think once I've had maybe a couple of weeks of wheat germ, I might incorporate a bit of balance into that. I've got a bit of balance to use up, and then the plan is to get this pond up to 18 degrees as soon as it's viable, really. I don't want to be chucking money down the drain, but at the same time, let's try and get through that horrible 12 to 18 degree sort of funny little temperature in between. Try and scoot past that as quick as I can and get up to 18, 20, and let's get rocking and get some food in these fish this year. All went pretty good. Big thanks to the old man that came across on Sunday without me knowing. I'd never have done it without him, because the pipework was defeating me slowly, and I'd have never ever got the pipework done if he didn't come across. So yeah, very much big thank you to him. And let's see how this goes, and obviously we'll try and keep the heat a bit stable now and keep the temperature well in here, and let's get some good growth on these summer.